Hey everyone, and welcome back. If you enjoyed these deep dives, please hit that subscribe button and give the video a like. Today, we're doing things a little differently. Oh, yeah, so we're kind of flipping the script on the usual travel talk. Okay, I'm intrigued. So instead of, all those like crowded tourist hotspots, we're going to explore some countries that are actually looking for more tourists. Ah, interesting. It's kind of like an antidote to all that over tourism stuff, Yeah, all the stuff we keep hearing about in places like Venice or Barcelona. Yeah, that is a really interesting angle. It's true, we hear so much about destinations struggling with having too many visitors, but there's this whole other side to the story. Right. It makes you think, like, why are some countries so eager to get more tourists? What's the strategy there? Yeah. And could tourism actually be a good thing for these places? Well, and that's the million-dollar question, isn't it? It's definitely not a simple answer. But I think when you look at the economic realities, especially for some of these lesser developed countries, tourism can be a really powerful tool for growth, especially when it's done right, when it's managed thoughtfully, totally. Okay, so let's dive into some specific examples. One that really jumped out to me was Greenland. They're building new international airports. I know, right? They're really going all in. Yeah, like talk about a commitment to tourism. Those airports are going to be huge, and not just for tourism. I mean, obviously that's a big part of it, but also for Greenland's overall economy. They rely so heavily on fishing right now, so anything they can do to diversify is going to be important. It makes sense. And it's not like they're just going for any kind of tourists. I mean, they're really emphasizing the adventure tourism angle, like rock climbing, camping out on the ice sheet, whale watching. Why, smart. Yeah, they're really playing to their strengths, Yeah, highlighting those incredible natural assets. Exactly. It's about leveraging what makes Greenland unique. And hopefully creating good opportunities for their people too, Like, did you know their goal is for like 80% of the population to have a positive view of tourism? Wow, that's a pretty ambitious goal. It is. It says a lot about their approach though. Like, they really seem to be trying to get everyone on board and make sure that tourism benefits the entire country. That's awesome. Okay, let's switch gears completely. Let's head over to Morocco. They've got some big plans tied to the World Cup in 2030, right? Oh yeah, big time. They're aiming to like double their tourist arrivals by then, up to 26 million. Whoa. That is a lot of people. It is. To get ready, they're going to need something like 100,000 extra beds. So international hotel chains are already starting to build new places. Wow. So they're really going for it. But is Morocco really ready for that kind of growth? I mean, Marrakesh has already become kind of a busy tourist hub, right? Yeah, for sure. I mean, Marrakech has definitely seen a lot of changes and it's definitely gotten busier. I mean, it's benefited from the tourism boom for sure. But it does raise the question of sustainability. Like, how do they balance growth with preserving the culture, the environment? That's a really good point. So it sounds like they're trying to spread the tourism love beyond just Marrakech. That we're kind of developing places like Casablanca, Fez, Agadir, and Tangier. That seems like a good strategy, right? Yeah, to kind of avoid overcrowding in just one spot. Yeah, spreading things out is definitely a good idea. And Fez really stands out to me. It haven't been hit by mass tourism yet. Really? Nope. And it's incredibly rich culturally. Like, it's a fascinating contrast to the whole Marrakech scene. I'm adding it to my list. Okay, so we've got Greenland with its focus on adventure tourism. We've got Morocco going all in on the World Cup. And now how about a country taking a totally different approach? What about Serbia? Or rather, they're really focusing on sustainability. That's right. They're all about the sustainable tourism thing. They're working with the Global Sustainable Tourism Council, which is pretty cool. So are they kind of trying to avoid making the same mistakes that some other places have made? I think so. Like what's happened in Croatia? Oh, yeah. Dubrovnik has become kind of a cautionary tale, hasn't it? Yeah, over-tourism can really be a problem. Right, so it seems like Serbia is trying to learn from that. And instead of just focusing on the cities, they're promoting mountain tourism, rural experiences, even spa and wellness offerings. It sounds like they're really trying to showcase a different side of the country. Yeah, and they've got a lot to offer. Like, Serbia has some seriously stunning landscapes, and the culture is so rich. Highlighting all that diversity is really smart. It's almost like they're trying to tap into that undiscovered gem kind of appeal, right? Like for travelers who are looking for something different, something off the beaten path. Exactly. Plus, from what I've read, tourists are generally viewed really positively in Serbia. One expert even compared it to places like Albania and Bosnia in terms of its potential for tourism. So kind of like an up-and-coming destination. Yeah, I think so. Okay, so we talked about Greenland, Morocco, Serbia. Now, speaking of destinations that are relatively new to the tourism game, let's talk about Georgia. Georgia's really interesting, actually. They've got this 10-year plan to attract a diverse range of tourists. Oh, wow. Yeah, they want everyone, independent travelers, cruise enthusiasts. They're even really focusing on accessibility for disabled visitors. That's impressive. It sounds like they're really thinking about the whole picture. They are. It's like they're building a whole tourism infrastructure from the ground up. What kind of things are they working on? Well, practical stuff, international signage, better public transportation. They're even developing cruise ship ports. But it's not just about that. Yeah, they're also focusing on the human element. I was reading about how the tour guides there are incredibly enthusiastic, really adaptable. That makes a big difference. Oh, totally. I mean, you can have all the fancy infrastructure in the world, but if the people aren't welcoming, if they're not passionate, it just won't be the same. Right. And because tourism is still relatively new there, there's this real sense of excitement. Yeah, I can imagine. So it sounds like they're still working on some things in terms of infrastructure. Like what? Well, things like paved roads, they still need to improve those in some areas. But the hope is that the revenue from tourism will help them fund those improvements. I see. So they kind of need the tourists to get the infrastructure, but they also need the infrastructure to get the tourists. It's a little bit of a chicken and egg situation, yeah. Okay, so all that aside, what does Georgia actually have to offer visitors? What stood out to you? It's so diverse. Yeah. You've got Tbilisi, the capital. It's full of charm, cobbled streets, fortress walls, museums. But then you also have these incredible cave towns, Soviet architecture. The mountains are just breathtaking. Plus, they've got UNESCO-listed churches and monasteries. I was reading about Tbilisi. That sounds amazing. Oh, it is. Okay, so cobbled streets, fortress walls, museums, and then outside the city, you've got the cave towns, the Soviet architecture, and don't forget the mountains. Anything else? The food and wine. Oh, yeah, how could I forget? Georgia has this incredibly rich culinary tradition, and it's really starting to get some international attention, which is cool. So we've covered 4 very different countries, each with their own approach to attracting tourists. Greenland, with its incredible landscapes and adventure tourism. Morocco's going all in on the World Cup to get those numbers up. Serbia's doing their own thing, focusing on sustainability. And Georgia's just starting out, building everything from scratch, while also showcasing this unique mix of culture, history, and natural beauty. It's really interesting to see how all these countries are using tourism, as a tool for growth and development, but also how they're trying to balance that with protecting their cultural heritage, their environment. Right, it's not just about checking destinations off a list. Exactly. It's about experiencing different cultures, connecting with people, and making sure that, our impact is a positive one. And that brings up a really important point: responsible tourism. Because as we venture off the beaten path, as we explore all these amazing emerging destinations, we have to do it thoughtfully, ethically. Totally. I mean, we've all seen what happens when tourism gets out of control. Oh, yeah. It can be really damaging to ecosystems, to local resources, even to cultures, that whole commodification thing. It's so important to be mindful, minimize our impact on the environment, respect local customs, support local businesses. So practical things like choosing eco-friendly accommodations. Yeah. Minimizing waste, learning a few phrases in the local language, even just dressing appropriately. It all makes a difference. And for goodness sake, don't be that tourist that just complains constantly about how things aren't like back home. Ugh, the worst. Right. Part of the joy of travel is embracing the differences. Absolutely. You're a guest in their country. Be respectful, be curious, be open. It's about a genuine cultural exchange, not just consuming a destination, like it's some kind of product. 100%. And one of the best things you can do is support those local communities. Stay in locally owned accommodations, eat at family-run restaurants, buy souvenirs directly from the artisans who made them. Yeah, it's a win-win. You get a more authentic experience, and you're directly helping the local economy. Yeah. So we've talked about why we should seek out these new destinations. We've talked about where to go, and we've even talked about how to do it responsibly. But here's the real question. Out of all these places, all these countries we've talked about, which one really got you thinking, okay, I got to go there? Was it Greenland? Those icy landscapes, the adventure? Yeah. Or Morocco, the whole vibe, the World Cup thing. What about Serbia? That undiscovered charm. Or Georgia, that mix of old and new, the food, the wine. Oh man, that's a tough one. I mean, choosing a travel destination, it's so personal, isn't it? Yeah, totally. What appeals to one person might not do anything for someone else. It's all about finding that place that really speaks to you, you know? Yeah. The place that offers the kind of experience you're looking for. You know what I think is so cool about these emerging destinations? It's like that sense of discovery. Well, yeah, you're getting a glimpse of something real, something authentic. But before it becomes, too touristy, there's definitely a magic to that. Venturing off the beaten path and finding those hidden gems, the places that haven't been completely overrun. And who knows, maybe by choosing to travel to these countries, we can actually help them, contribute to their development, help them preserve their culture, their environment. Yeah, that's a really great point. It's pretty powerful to think that our travel choices can actually make a difference, not just for us, but for the places we visit, the people who live there. It all comes back to responsible travel, right? Being mindful of our impact. Absolutely. And that's what we love about doing these deep dives, giving you guys, our listeners, a chance to explore these ideas, these places, maybe even inspire you to plan your next adventure. So as you're thinking about your next trip, we'll leave you with this question. What lesser known destination are you most curious about now? Let us know in the comments. And don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel for more deep dives. Until next time, happy travels, everyone.